What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Pod Scum. I am your host, Reckless Rex Ruger. That, of course, is the Freddie Mercury puppet. We are back with another banger of an episode. Before we get to said banger, I will, as I do every episode, address the elephant in the room. You're looking at these smoldering good looks. How could you not be? You're checking out these luscious blonde locks. I will confirm for you that, yes, you are looking at the one and only that we know of, love child of one Diamond David Lee Roth. Now you know, I've divulged it. Now we can get down to brass tacks, which, as I said earlier, is another kick-ass episode of Pod Scum. It's what we do, folks, and we ain't about to change it now. So, before my guest gets in here, I will, again, as I do every episode, do the obligatory promotional spiel, because as you guys all know, if you have a podcast, you must pimp it. There are millions of them out there. If you want to stand out, if you want people to watch, you got to let them know. You got to give them the 411. The pimp hand is feeling strong. There it is. So let's give it a shot. Make sure to tap into Pod Scum on Facebook. Our handle is Off the Couch Boxing and Pod Scum. Take note of that. Don't be confused. I got the little boxing show and I got Pod Scum, the little music show that we do. I promote them both through one Facebook account. Same with Instagram. Same handle on Instagram too. I've dumbed it down for you and for myself. Off the Couch Boxing and Pod Scum. That's our handle on both platforms. And of course, as great as they are, I promote the episodes through Facebook. I give you guys little snippets, little reels. I don't know what the kids call them nowadays on Instagram. You can check out little bits and pieces. But if you really want the meat and potatoes, as I always say, you want the full conversation, this is where you need to be. My guest is here. I'm going to shut up. We're going to get down to it, man. Let's go. I'll give you the rest of the 411 later. Hello, Ricky.
How you doing?
Pleasure to have you on here, man. It really is, man. I'm a super huge fan, man, and I really appreciate you carving out some time to do this, man.
Oh, no problem.
Yeah, you might be looking at the hair. I do make the outrageous claim that I am the only love child of David Lee Roth. So far, it hasn't served me very well. He's been a pretty deadbeat dad.
I wouldn't brag that anymore.
I wouldn't. I know you're right. I did just see him a couple months ago, and yeah, I might have to. I might have to find a different angle, a different shtick, if you will. I want to start off talking with you. Obviously you've had your hand in so many cool things, man, but I recently just did an interview with Evan Seinfeld of Biohazard, who has a great program now, Mentorship, where men are on there. It's an online community sharing issues. And it's so great that those walls have come down now. You know what I mean? That here in 2025, we can really talk about this stuff. I really want to talk about like your sobriety. I know you're very proud of it and congratulations on it. It's been a lot of years. I've had struggles in the past as well. How have you had your hand in so many different things and been so tied to the rock world and the entertainment world and been able to maintain it? I think people would like to know what keys you found.
I mean, it definitely wasn't easy because at the time that I got sober, which was 1988, that was right in the thick of everything. Sure. That was when, I had the Cathouse and everybody around me was doing drugs and drinking. Mm-hmm. And it was tough, but it got to be a point that I probably, I would have died. Yeah. And when you're doing stuff like, crystal meth or coke or any of those type of things, and you're also battling depression, it's just bad. So it got to be a point that I had to. And luckily at that time, there were some friends of mine, like Nikki Six, we're not friends anymore, but they were my friends back in 88. And he was getting sober, so that kind of helped. And we would go to meetings together and do stuff like that. But then I just ended up staying sober through the whole thing and just kind of, turned my addiction towards business and to working. And, just because you're sober doesn't mean you're not an addict. You're still an addict. Sure. But it manifests itself in so many different ways.
Did you find it harder to maintain given the fact that you are tied to these endeavors? You know what I mean? Like, do you feel like the battle was harder because you are around all these people and it is a community? You brought up a great point, the 80s, the decade of decadence. There was a lot of shit going on. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, did that add to it given the fact that you're probably looked at as somebody like, hey, it's the guy from the Cathouse. It's the metal guy. You know what I mean? He should be, hey, Mr. Good Time Charlie,
Yeah. I even to this day, I can't be around anybody that's doing cocaine or crystal meth or snorting anything. Like if I see it on a movie, I look the other way. To this day, I just don't like to look at it. Yeah. And I try to avoid putting myself into tough situations. Yeah, it gets to be, it's weird when that's what you're used to. You know, you're used to waking up at 4 in the afternoon and there's Jack and beer and then
Yeah.
you're getting high. It just becomes a routine. But it just, I knew what would happen if I didn't stop. And it was tough. And sometimes going out, you had to relearn things. Sometimes going out was like really boring.
Yeah,
Like, you know,
sure.
like how am I going to go out and meet girls when I'm sober? You know, I have
Right,
to
right.
try to talk to them normally. And so it was tough, but I mean, you have to do it. And it's still, I mean, even though I've been sober like 38 years, it's not that I don't ever think about drinking whiskey. I wish I could, but I
Yeah.
can't. I have nothing against people that drink or even smoke weed or anything. I got nothing against that. I just can't because I'm a drug addict and an alcoholic.
Do you feel like you were predisposed to it? Do you feel like it was inevitable that it was
Oh
going to happen,
yeah.
or is it because of the ventures you got into?
No, 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 no. I mean, I smoked weed. I was given marijuana when I was 4. I was given cocaine when I was 13. Um, you know, drug addiction and alcoholism it is a gene. Usually it's hereditary. It is something that I believe you're born with. And I think it was inevitable. I mean, I've had you know, for people that just think like, oh, Ricky probably went to school and studied broadcasting and got on
Right.
MTV. It wasn't like that at all. I mean, I tried to kill myself at 10 years old and I
Yeah.
had to go to the doctor and I was, I was always heavy into drugs. I was dealing drugs for a little bit. And so it was just something that like I had been drinking heavily at a very young age and experimenting with drugs at a young age as well. So I don't know if it was inevitable, but it was something that was in me. It's like, when I if I go somewhere, if I'm at a bar and somebody's got a drink and there's half a drink and they're like, okay, let's go. I'm like, how do you leave half a drink? Like
Right.
that doesn't make sense to me. But
Right.
I'm the same way with dessert too. It's like,
Right.
how do you leave half a
Right.
piece of cake?
Right. Right. So have you ever been able to put a finger on, and certainly only divulging what you're comfortable with, but were there other issues that went hand in hand with the addiction? You mentioned attempting suicide. Was there anxiety? Was there depression? And what do you feel like those stemmed from? What was your upbringing like? Do you feel like that all this is a byproduct of a specific reason?
It could be a little bit of everything. I mean, before ADHD was like kind of like, hey, I got ADD.
Right.
I was diagnosed with it as a young age. What most people don't realize is to have ADHD, it's something that's brought on when you're diagnosed with as a child.
Yeah.
And back then it was just called hyperactivity. So I was diagnosed with hyperactivity and they were going to give me Ritalin, but my mom wisely chose not to give me Ritalin. So it was depression, it was hyperactivity, which turned to attention deficit disorder, which it turned to ADHD. And I'm mentally, I've still got a lot of issues, but I also believe that some of us that have these issues, they manifest themselves into creative ways. I mean,
Yes.
I'm old as fuck right now, but I'm still like living
Yeah.
I'm in my office right now, which is completely built on things that I've done in rock and roll.
Sure.
And, I think if I didn't have all those weird quirks and issues that I still deal with sometimes, I wouldn't be where I am. And I think most of us that are really, in rock and roll, most of us had some issues.
Oh yeah, yeah. And you make a good point. The hyperactivity, while sometimes looked at as a cross to bear, it can lead to productivity as well, though.
Yes and no.
Yeah.
I still to this day have a very hard time focusing. I
Yeah.
have a very hard time finishing tasks. And I'm also a bit of a control freak. So if it means, I'm about to go on tour again with my spoken word show,
Yep.
but that means I'm going to try to build a website that I don't know how to do, to put tickets on sale and,
Yeah.
and design merchandise for my apparel company. And I do everything myself and it's hard to stay focused. So I'm always going like that. And it's sometimes never anything gets done. So that puts more and more stress upon myself, I think.
And now, because you stopped, as you said, in 1988, which, I was 15 years old at the time, I remember, man. I mean, I remember all the great music, the scene from the Sunset Strip. I mean, I'm an upstate New York guy, man, but just the stuff that was coming out of there was just so influential, man, even to us on the other side of the country. That's a very difficult time. I mean, any time is a difficult time, to try to become sober. But, was there a specific low point? Was there something that was like the defining moment where you were just like, enough, or was it a culmination of things?
I mean, there were a couple of things that were like, indications and red flags, like, like, yeah, I woke up blacked out in handcuffs before, and yes, I've been to jail for drunk driving and fighting and stuff like that. But I mean, there was one time where I hit like a real low, and I just kind of like had a mental breakdown and did all this weird shit and was going to kill myself. And it was just like, dude, you know, and I guess I had that moment of clarity, and then I, did what I had to do to get cleaned up. And like I say, I've gone through, since I've been sober, I've gone through a lot of very, very difficult things that would have been easy to just like to drink my way out of it. When
Sure.
after Headbangers Ball, I was working in talk radio. I beat up a DJ and went to jail, and
Yep.
and was flat broke and had to work my way up from nothing. And that's hard once you've been on TV. And it would have been easy to drink, but I like kept on going and kept on going. And I guess I'm driven to the point of like maybe too much, but I never gave up. And I just know that if I know, I believe in my heart that as much as I would love to drink, I'm not gonna lie,
Yeah.
but I know that if I did have a sip of whiskey, you're not going to just have a sip. Oh, that tastes good. You're going
It
to
opens
just
up
keep
the
on
floodgate.
drinking, and like,
Yeah.
well, hell, if I'm not drunk, I've never shot heroin before. What would that be? So
Right.
to
Right.
me, it's something that I don't want to get into.
Yeah.
I have to not, because I know where it'll take me. And on one time, it took me pretty close to the end.
And I think a lot of addicts have that mentality, but I think with them it's an all or nothing thing. I don't think there's I think they kid themselves. I can do a little bit of something, and it does open up that floodgate where you're right back as a full-time addict again.
A lot of people can.
Yeah.
A lot of
Yeah.
people can.
Yeah.
I can't.
Yeah.
And like I said, I'm not one of those sober preachers. I don't go and tell people like, you need to be sober. My wife drinks. I buy her drinks.
Yeah.
I'm the first one to go to a party and buy everybody drinks, because if I'm around people that are having a good time and buzzed,
Yeah.
I'm probably going to have time. But of course, I'm always the one that ends up driving.
Right.
So that's like,
Right. You become the permanent DD.
I am.
And so, looking at all these creative things that you've done, you mentioned Headbangers Ball. I think about Loveline. I think about I'm a big wrestling fan. You even had a stint working at WCW. Can you look at any of them? And I know you're still doing creative stuff. Do you look at any of them as where you were at the creative high point? I mean, were any of them the most fulfilling to you, or a period of time when you felt the most fulfilled creatively? Or maybe that's
2
now.
years ago. 2 years ago, when I started doing my spoken word show.
Okay.
Without a doubt, the One Foot in the Gutter show is the most fulfilling thing I've ever done, because I can look back at my career and Headbangers Ball people watched because they loved the videos, they loved the bands. People went to Cathouse because of the atmosphere and what bands might be there and what bands played there. And I can go through my career, and even when I worked in wrestling, or I spent, a lot of people don't know, I spent 20 years working in NASCAR.
Yep.
And all that other stuff. It was other things. But when I did my storytelling show, this was me. I mean, I wrote every word. I produced the videos that go on in the background, and to do it and start selling out shows and get great reviews, it's the greatest feeling that I've ever had. And I'm excited because in February and March, I'm going back out on the road again. And there's nothing that has pleased me more than that. The biggest problem with Headbangers Ball is I didn't realize that I mean, think about this for a second. I had the best job in the world. I mean, in the whole wide world.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a job better than that. You get money to hang out with bands and play metal.
Yeah.
I didn't realize it then. And that's my biggest regret, is not realizing what a great opportunity I had. And that's why these days I try to, and I still fall into that same thing. Like, I got to do my spoken word show in Australia, and I need to sit back and like, oh my God, I just sold out Sydney, Australia. There's nobody else on the act. They're coming to see me talk.
Right.
Right. And I gotta appreciate that. Like all those things. I mean, I'm still very, very proud of the legacy of the Cathouse. That was something that you couldn't make up. It was just done because of the love of this scene. And it's still flattering that people buy Cathouse shirts,
Yeah.
But the One Foot in the Gutter shows are without a doubt the most fulfilling thing in my career. I love doing it.
And why did you choose, to express yourself, go in the spoken word route when we've seen so many other people put out books? I'm sure people have probably pitched it maybe to you. Why not a
Yeah.
book? You got so many stories, been through so much stuff. Why not a book? Does that scratch the creative itch more for you going out and doing that than putting pen to paper and writing a book?
There's a couple reasons. Yes, I've been approached to do a book all the time, and I keep on telling people, like, if I do a book, it might not be the book everybody thinks it's going to be. They might think it's like, oh, and here is Guns N' Roses this, and here is Fast Pussycat that, and this is when I went to go see the Germs, and this is and yes, that is what my show is, but it's also overcoming a lot of stuff with the bad relationships I had, with the trouble that I got into. So I decided to go on stage and tell all these stories. And now I know, like, okay, the people do like to hear these stories. So I could put that in a book, but I have a hard time sitting still. I mean, yes, if I die and there's not a book out, I'm going to be upset.
Yeah.
But, if I have a book, I can't hire, that I've spoke to publishers that say, these people will sit with you and write it. I can't, I got to do it myself.
Yeah.
And the problem is I have a hard time sitting down and doing it because I keep on adding on more things on my plate. So a book is definitely what I want to do. And I think with the spoken word show, it kind of gave me, if you can imagine what it'd be like for, almost 40 years now, hearing every one of your friends saying, I'm going on tour, I'm doing this. And I used to just sit there hearing, because all these bands that weren't big then were my friends. Yeah. And then they started getting big and they're like, and we're in a tour bus and I'm just sitting here like, because I just want to be a rock star, And now I get to do it. Of course, at, my age, I'm doing it in a little minivan. Yeah. But it's still very cool because I kind of get to live that dream.
And I imagine going out and sharing these stories is got to, in some ways, be also very cathartic.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
On stage, there's things that I'll say that I have not told people before.
Yeah.
That people don't know. Things that are extremely embarrassing. It's very personal, but I've said this before that when I'm on stage, that the greatest feeling is when you hear everybody laughing, but also when you're in the middle of a story and you pause and it's dead silent.
You're waiting.
And I was like, and that was the first time I did that in the show, and I stopped. And then I let it rest for a second. I'm like, oh my God, I got him right here. I got everybody. And it made me feel really good. And my whole show's true. Like I don't make up stuff in the show,
How has your sobriety affected you in terms of being a better husband, a better friend, better businessman?
Well,
first of all, have you been able to maintain some friendships with people from the business? I've obviously seen, I didn't know how sobriety affected that. I've obviously seen you take to social media. I know you're still very close with the Faster Pussycat guys, but have you maintained like other relationships?
I am still, it's kind of funny. The one thing is I live in North Carolina now.
Yes.
So I'm not in LA, but I still get to see Tammy whenever I can. I'm still in touch with Gilby Clark. I'm still in touch with Fred Corey. But the people that I'm also friends with now is people that like I didn't know, like whether it's the guys in Lamb of God who I'm close with.
Yeah.
The guys in Hatebreed, I really like them a lot. And I meet a lot of people on some of these other things that I do that are in bands that might have been way after Headbangers Ball.
Yeah.
Because I kind of tend to gravitate more towards the heavier stuff.
Yeah.
And I found that some of that those crowds are very welcoming to me, which is very flattering. And, and I meet all these bands that I always liked and was almost intimidated by. And now I find myself friends with a lot of these bands, but there's a lot of people that, Ryan Roxy, who I've known even before Tammy, who's the guitarist of Alice Cooper. I still talk to Ryan, and I do have a lot of the only thing I miss about LA is my friends and riding motorcycles with my friends, and the good thing is Tammy, I keep in touch with, all the time. Ace Von Johnson, I speak with. I mean, he wasn't around in Cathouse days. He's too young.
Yeah.
But I've been friends with that guy since I lived in LA, and I'm still, we still talk probably once a week. And my friends, a lot of them were friends way before they were famous,
Yeah. I've gotten the
And
opportunity to have a couple of the Professor Pussycat guys on the podcast. I'm working my way, hopefully, to a Tammy one. Me and him have talked a little bit. I know sometimes it's just finding time. I just had the guitar player Kieran on. I've had Sam on. But obviously guys that weren't in the band all the way back then. I mean, as you said, much younger guys.
yeah, I love Tammy. I mean, he's one of the few people that saw me at my worst, and I've seen him at his worst. And
yeah.
I mean, this is the first time in my life that Tammy's a hell of a lot healthier than I am.
Yeah. But now, talk to me a little bit about the move to North Carolina. Was that out of necessity? Was that another thing that you felt you had to do for your health, your sobriety?
No, not at all.
No.
I mean, I lived in Hollywood forever. And then when I was working in NASCAR, I kept on visiting North Carolina.
Yeah.
And I was like, look at these houses that you could buy.
Yeah.
And in LA, it was like you couldn't get anything in a good area at all. I mean, you could live in like a crappy place for $1 million.
Right.
Or you could live in like a real house. And my house that I bought in North Carolina has already over doubled. But when I bought it, it was like, in LA, I'm like, okay, is there going to be a place to park my motorcycle? And in North Carolina, I have a house that comes with a boat slip. It's like,
right.
And it's already paid off.
Yeah.
And I really do like it here. I've been able to do things like, I have these 2 offices that I'm at that we sell merch out of, and coffee and all that other stuff. And I don't think I would have been able to do that in LA. And there are things I miss, but also the LA that I miss isn't there anymore. Right. So if I go back to LA, Hollywood is dead. I don't care what anybody says,
What do you think was the nail in the coffin? You make a great point, man. Like, why is Hollywood dead? When did it happen? And what was the impetus for it?
It's really interesting because I have a take that I don't think other people have. And I kind of think what really was a big part of what killed the music scene was when they made a law that you couldn't go out and pass out flyers anymore, which I understand why they did that, because on the Sunset Strip, the streets would be covered with flyers. But I think that once they stopped that, then they stopped all the people hanging out and being all over the place. And I think the way that we consume music is different. I would not buy an album until I saw the band. The way it would go is you would see a band live, and then if you liked them, you would go buy their record. And now, it's just people get music so effortlessly, and it takes a lot for them to go see a band, and they won't go see a band just to see a band, So I think people are just lazier and lazier, and it's really a shame because, I hate to say it was so much better then, but it really was better then.
Yeah,
it really was.
I try to tell my kids that all the time too. I'm just like, you don't know how good we had it in the '80s, and of course, obviously you can't drill that into them because they think they have it pretty darn good now. But I think it's the way people interact nowadays. I mean, the technology has really kind of, almost taken like the human factor out of stuff. I'll go into places and just see groups of people like Barnes and Noble, for instance, in the coffee shop part, and they're just all on their phones staring. Nobody's really conversing. Nobody's interacting. Nobody's really in the moment. Even when people go to concerts, they're kind of guilty of it now too.
I agree 100%. And I'm a hypocrite because, I find myself doing that thing. I'm like, stop it. You hate doing it and you can't stop.
I know.
And it's so bad. And when I see people, like, I film parts of shows sometimes to post on social media for my Patreon. But I just think people miss so much. And, that's why I think why I ride motorcycles so much is because I can't be on a phone. I just get on my bike and just ride.
Yeah. How close were you to being a musician yourself? Because you did start out early in some bands. And why did you not pursue it?
Because everybody else was so much better than I was.
Is that true? Yeah.
I mean, it's hard to start off in a band when you're starting off at the same time as Guns N' Roses. Yeah,
a little difficult.
But it's been interesting because last month I got to sing in front of over 2,000 people with the band that I was in for this one song was guy from Exodus, a guy from Lamb of God, a guy from Devil Driver, a guy from Necrogoblicon. And it was like 2,000 people. I was like, oh my God. And me and Ace Von Johnson, we play music live, and we're doing a show December 7th where I get to play music. But, I played in 95. I played in a band called Battery Club that was kind of a punky band that was a little bit, maybe it sounds weird to say a punk band in 95 that was
Yeah.
before its time, but this was before like the Green Days got signed and all that other stuff. And we were kind of like more rock, but the thing is, I've always wanted things. I've always wanted to have a car. So if I just stayed a lot of time struggling in bands, I know that wouldn't work. So I just try to focus on things that would make me money because I like things, you know?
Oftentimes, I don't know if it's fair to place blame on any one thing, but oftentimes you hear that when the 80s ended and the quote unquote party was over and grunge kind of came around, that's kind of what was kind of hurt the whole 80s scene. There was this kind of cleaning out process. I've heard other people say that. Did you like the grunge scene when it came around? Obviously, 89, 90, then suddenly boom, Nirvana, the Pearl Jams, the Soundgardens, the Alice in Chains are all bursting onto the scene, and the music industry really kind of pivoted a little bit.
Soundgarden is phenomenal. I love Alice in Chains, and I also like Nirvana. When they came out, it was rock and roll to me. The things that people always say this, it's like, okay, is metal or whatever metal, and people are saying like it killed metal. It didn't kill like Testament just released an album that freaking rules. Megadeth is releasing an album. All these bands are still out touring, selling lots of tickets. But yes, a band like a whatever 80s band that that are 60 and they're wearing spandex and tease their hair up, they might not be selling tickets, so they'll blame it on something else. But it sure in hell never hurt Slayer. It didn't hurt Pantera. It didn't hurt that. And also the people keep on saying, that it all died in the 80s. Well, I wasn't on TV in the 80s. I started Headbangers Ball in the 90s. I went from 90 to 95. So to put it blame on bands like Seattle, as I've said so many times, if your scene was killed by another scene, that means your scene is weak.
Yeah.
Because I'm telling you, people didn't put down, their metal records to start listening to, Nirvana.
Yeah.
And if the reason that MTV or somebody started playing that type of music, the reason they started playing that type of music is people wanted to hear it.
Right.
That's why.
Yeah.
And I also don't, Motorhead's never been in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I hope they never get in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame because Motorhead's my band. Motorhead is my all-time favorite band.
Amazing.
And I don't think you need that acknowledgement or you need to be this big mega band to have acceptability. I mean, if any of these 80s bands that were upset about what happened got really, really, really huge, everybody would probably say they sold out.
Right. And it's a great point. And rest in peace to the to the late great Lemmy. I want to ask you, man, because you brought them up. Well, why is Motorhead your favorite band? What is it about them that resonates with you? Why were you drawn to them as your favorite band?
Because I grew up listening to punk rock, and then I got older, I started listening to hard rock, and then I started listening to metal, and Motorhead was there every step of the way. Motorhead is just rock and roll. Motorhead is no bullshit. I mean, it's just that rock and roll. Nobody sings like Lemmy. I mean, it's just a, I don't really, I sometimes have a hard time discerning black metal from death metal or from this. I don't know what everything. I just like what I like.
I know. Yeah.
And Motorhead is that one band that if you like Guns N' Roses or you like Crowbar or you like Stone Temple, whatever, probably like Motorhead. And I don't know any other band that's like that. I mean, anybody that says Motorhead sucks, I don't like that person anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Yeah, you made a great point earlier about never going to broadcast school and never being formally trained. And even though you've done all these endeavors, I think certainly people remember you first and foremost, initially from Headbangers Ball. So how do you step into that role without any broadcasting? Obviously, we kind of remember Adam Curry's there, and then suddenly, you're there.
Axel called up and asked if they would take me in his audition, and then he went with me for the audition.
There you go, folks. That's the way to get a job. You bring Axl Rose along with you.
That's all you need, because it sure wasn't
really
looks and talent.
Yes.
and for the first couple shows, I was terrible. I did not like seeing myself on TV. But then later I got a little apathetic and started being me and decided, you know what? I'm not going to sit here and ask these guys like, well, who's your producer? And what was the motivation? I did in the first year because I thought that's what I was supposed to do.
Right.
And then after a while, I was just kind of being a smartass. And I liked being the butt end of a joke. People think this whole Mustaine feud was so old. Dave Mustaine hated you. It's like, you morons. You guys remember that show 30 years later. I'd rather people remember the things they do. And I love Dave Mustaine. I went skydiving with Dave Mustaine. I went to one of his first weddings. You know, I've always been tight with Dave, and I love his music.
Yeah.
One time we did get in a little bit of a feud, but you know, it's just, you know, at least people had an opinion, whether they liked me or didn't like me. You know, at least they had an opinion. They didn't say like who.
Right. And so now, you know, talk to me a little bit about the endeavors that you have now. I've got some stuff written down. I don't know if any of it is defunct or how current or, you know, how active any of these projects are. Are you still doing the skateboard thing? Pool school?
No. I stopped doing that a long time ago. That was fun. Occasionally I get into ventures that are just something that I really love doing, but they don't pan out.
Okay. And what about Cathouse HQ? So that's where you are right now?
Yeah, that's in Mooresville, North Carolina. I have my office here, which is, let's see, I'll just hold this and give you kind of a like a cool little stuff. And then in the office right there, I have my assistant. Her name is Karen, Cathouse Karen, and she works in the office over there. And she gets all the merchandise out and the coffee out, and she helps me with the tour. And this whole organization that I have is just two people. It's a small business, and I've been doing this for a real long time, and I love it. But you know, they say if you are sick of working 40 hours a week, start working for yourself, and then you can work 60 hours a week.
Right. You can work harder. Yeah.
Yeah.
And now what about the coffee business? What was the impetus? Obviously, I don't need to ask why you get into coffee. Obviously, coffee is a huge industry. People need it to get their day going. They need it for, you know, they need that rocket fuel to get going.
Oh, that's a bad one.
Yep.
No, that's a pumpkin.
Now, hold it up again. Now, what's the name of it?
No, that was a dumb. Let me find the better bag.
Find that.
Here's a big 5.
By the way, coffee. And by the way, coffee, a smart business thing. There you go. Cathouse Coffee, dark roast.
Well, not necessarily. It's not necessarily a smart business thing, and this is why. Every band licensed their name to do coffee. And I mean, every single band. And there was a company that said, hey, do you want to do, you know, RIKI RACHTMAN, Headbangers Brew, or do any of this stuff? And I go, I don't know. And then I went to South America and I visited a plantation. Then I studied with the Specialty Coffee Association, and I got really into coffee, and I met with a local roaster, and we went over blends. So, I mean, everything is roasted and packaged and blended within 1 mile. I'm the one that buys the coffee. We put the labels on, we ship them from my office. It's 100% independent company. It doesn't make any money yet, and I don't know if it ever will, but I do have the best coffee in the world.
And that's what really matters to people. That's what really matters. They want that coffee that's going to put a little pep in their step. That matters more than anything.
And it's good. And even if I'm not making any money, at least I'm, you know, like right now the website's down, so I got to fix the website, you know, and it's, and I don't know anything about that. But, you know, I think because that, and it's such a DIY company and organization, it's very hard, and I miss a lot of opportunities, but I'm still running. I mean, there's a lot of businesses that are not running as long as I've been doing this. And this is what I do for a living, you know?
Yeah. What about your involvement with NASCAR, racing, motorcycles, any of that stuff? I know you were big into that, into those worlds as well.
I still ride motorcycle. You know, I just finished riding this summer. I rode 15,500 miles, and I raised $23,000 for the 988 Suicide Prevention Hotline. Every year I go on a really long motorcycle ride. I love riding motorcycles. And I worked once on Fox Sports for flat track, and then I worked for NASCAR for 20 years, but I don't work for NASCAR anymore. Things changed. The sport has changed. So now, you know, I don't do any of those things.
Yeah. But you're so tied to the music industry, and the music industry has gone through such seismic changes, man. Do you like where well, for lack of a better word, there really is no proper industry anymore, but do you like where music is in 2025? It's different now. It's a track by track world. It's playlist, it's streaming, it's all that type of stuff. Are you a physical product guy, a vinyl guy? Do you like where we are right now?
Again, I'm going to be a hypocrite. I hate where we are right now, but that doesn't mean that I don't consume music that way. I mean, I might have albums that I buy vinyl, but I might not even ever play. Like I'll buy I'm going to buy the purple vinyl, even though I don't play it. You know, I'll still listen to it off my phone. But I don't like, I mean, it's good in one way that, you know, you can get turned on to stuff if you listen to one of the providers like a Spotify or everything and put on bands like, this, and that's how I've gotten turned on to certain bands. But bands aren't making any money. They don't make any money off of record sales.
I know.
They have to play shows, and then even venues take percentages of merchandise. It's just really tough for bands to make money these days.
Very.
And it's sad because, we live in a world that it's all about views and hits and likes. And
Yep.
I don't think that has any longevity, and it's only getting worse and worse. And now with AI, it's just scary. It's just scary.
I know. You don't know what's real out there now. So because we've gone through these changes, and obviously back in the days, that we remember, in the 80s, a label, a record company would put money into their artist, and we would get these big, huge stars, your Springsteens, your Princes, your Madonnas. You know what I mean? Where do those guys come from now? I mean, where do we find these next musical icons? Are we going to, a perfect example, a guy like Lemmy, even from the rock world, where are we going to find these guys that really stand out as personalities? We just lost Ozzy. We're losing some of those. Where are we going to find the next ones? Will we find the next ones?
Well, heavy metal's an old man's game. It really is.
You're right.
Even when I go on the Headbangers boat, which is all younger bands to an extent, these bands are still in their 40s or they're not in their 20s. Now, there are a lot of good bands in their 20s, but now we're finding them via social media, which isn't, it's not an indication, that, oh, this band's great. They got 8 billion views. I'm like, it used to be like they would start off and they'd play clubs and they'd start to build a following and get bigger and bigger and a bigger fan base, then get a record deal. And, oh, I remember when they played the clubs. Well, that's something that nobody says anymore.
Right.
And some bands, they're bands that aren't going to have longevity. There's some newer bands that I think will have longevity, but it's just, I don't like it. I don't feel there's any soul. I don't feel there's any showmanship. People aren't entertaining, and it's all about social media.
Yeah, it really is. Do you feel like do you put any stock in any of these? Is it a viable way to find great music artists through these shows that we see, the American Idols, the Voices, these type of things? Did you put much stock in those?
No, I hate those shows. I hate the way because you have to have that story. And let's be honest, if you put a Guns N' Roses or Nirvana or name any band on one of those shows, they never would have made it. They never would have made it. It's so lame. And, when the show first started and you had the winners like the Kelly Clarksons and I don't remember, Adam Lamberts and people that you remembered who those are. I couldn't tell you one person that's been on American Idol in the past 5 years. And I hated the show. It made me cringe because I like raw, sweaty, I like to know that bands work their way from a smaller venues to bigger venues and not just became, popular because they did something on TikTok.
Right. I feel like this might be a bit of a loaded question because you've been able to, been fortunate enough to rub elbows with so many amazing people. Have you had that one moment where you got to meet somebody that really kind of stood out to you, where you kind of said in your head, I can't fucking believe I just got to meet him?
It was kind of cool when I met Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Yeah.
In NASCAR, there's several times it happened. In rock and roll, I like that I get along and kind of friends with the guys in Cheap Trick and Alice Cooper.
Yeah,
Alice Cooper, I've known since the 80s, but it still doesn't. I still am grateful. Like I go backstage and hang out with Alice Cooper, and he's, hey, Ricky, how are you doing? I like that. The only people I've said it a million times, the only 3 people that I've never met are Mick Jagger, Keith Richards, and Paul McCartney, and that's it. And that's pretty big. But I've met everybody else, and it's pretty cool. It's really cool when you meet somebody that knows who I am. Like that's
right.
Like, wow, really?
Right. And you still got time to meet the Stones, right? They're 80 years old.
I go to see them play every time they play.
And they seem like they're still going strong. Now I'm glad we're talking about them playing because obviously with your involvement in the Cathouse and your involvement in the music world, you've obviously seen tons of good shows. Is there a live band that you've gone to see as a fan that really resonated and stands out with you? A band that blew you away live?
Yes. Everybody's going to hate me on this. One of the most amazing live shows I've ever seen is My Chemical Romance.
Okay. Okay.
This last tour. They're playing stadiums.
Yeah.
And they have a firing squad and an opera singer, and there's a play, and somebody's and it's all this thing, and I'm just watching this. I'm like, and I'm sitting here, this whole like storyline with this long like play being drawn out, and that's like half the show. They did the whole Black Parade album, and then they stopped and went to a stage in the middle of it and just played all their early like raw stuff. I mean, I don't like emo stuff,
right?
But I've never looked at them as that. I think that band, I mean, that band is like Queen. Is like, you know, to me, they're so good.
And that's putting on a show. You made a great point earlier, man, about actually putting on a show and entertaining people and actually putting something into the performance. Yeah, I mean, like we see a lot of bands maybe up there just going through the motions, man, but really giving you some bang for your buck. Because concerts, obviously, I don't have to tell you, are astronomical nowadays. And I also have a problem. I was just talking with a guy in here, you know, where do you stand on like where we see these bands, and I hate to beat up Foreigner, but he brought them up, and maybe they're the most guilty of it, where they're charging full price and there's no original members in the band anymore.
I don't like it at all.
Terrible,
it's a tribute band. I mean, you know, we also have, and I'm not going to call names because we know who all there is. I don't like bands that I liked when I was younger playing when they're freaking awful because you're destroying what we always held so sacred.
Yes.
And you know, they should call it the music of. Maybe Carlos Cavazo. I don't know if Quiet Riot is really, or Leonard Skinner, or you know, any of these bands. I mean, yes, Tammy is the only real member, Faster Pussycat. But some of these people that are the new members have been in the band for 20 years or something.
Right.
You know? I don't know how long Chad's been in the band, but you know, that, in my opinion, was always Tammy's band anyway.
Yes.
But you know, it's different if, you know, people left the band because of bad will, but if people are getting older and dying and they keep on replacing them, like, you know, Motorhead will never play. There would never, ever, 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 ever be anybody that would call that band Motorhead. You know, and the Pantera thing was, I go back and forth, but the way I look at it is when Pantera, even though it's just, you know, Rexx and Phil, that when Pantera plays, there isn't a kid there, a young kid watching Pantera that doesn't leave knowing about Dime and Vinny.
Right.
You know,
the tribute.
So I think there's nothing wrong with that, you know.
And so before I let you out of here, you know, and I appreciate you being so generous with your time, and I want to try to stay, you know, in the ballpark of the time constraints or whatever, but I want people to be able to know and be able to tap in with, you know, where's the best place to get updates on what you're up to, tour dates, you know, your spoken word show, just if they want to tap into anything that you got going on.
Yeah, I'm going to be on tour in the ending of February through like the first week of March. I love saying I'm going to be on tour.
Yeah.
I never, ever get bored saying that. It's so cool to say it. I mean,
what do people expect when they come and see this, man? Obviously, it's you telling stories or whatever, man. But is it kind of?
They are going to have the best time. There's going to be highs. There's going to be lows.
Okay.
I've got, I mean, I hate to say, no, I don't hate to say it. I've only gotten great reviews, and even times it shows I didn't feel were great. And that's kind of weird because I expected somebody to not like the show. But even if you weren't into metal, you're going to hear some stories that you never knew. And I'm going to take some of it's kind of almost like a play. And it's great. And I've got a bunch of shows coming in Illinois and Indiana and Missouri and Michigan and all this stuff coming up. And if you go to cathousehollywood.com, the links should be up any minute. So if you go to cathousehollywood.com, that'll have all of my shows. And I try to play smaller venues, so buy tickets in advance because it will sell out.
Is there music involved with the show as well?
Well, I talk about music,
right. But
there's no bands.
You mentioned something about you had mentioned something about Ace Von Johnson and you doing something. I didn't know like if there were musical guests or music involved or anything like that.
Necessarily, but when you come, you'll find out with the opening.
Okay.
We did something kind of fun in Charlotte because I played my first show in Charlotte and sold out. And then I came back to the venue in Charlotte and I wanted to do something that was different. So I came out singing I Got Friends in Low Places by Garth Brooks. And then the whole high school drill drum team came.
Oh, that's cool.
And I came
That's
in.
cool.
Ace Von Johnson was up there playing guitar, and I'm walking down it with the drum team doing the song.
That's cool.
And
that's an entrance.
It was pretty fun. And you know, I think people are going to really have a good time. I love doing this show. I'm very, very proud of it. And you know, you're going to hear some stuff that you might know. You're going to hear some stuff the way it happened, the way it really happened. And you're going to hear some stories you never knew. And you're going to laugh. Maybe you're going to go, there's some sad parts. Hopefully people have said there's inspirational parts. It's just great. I mean, I know that's weird for me to say, but I'm very, very proud of the show.
You're supposed to toot your own horn a little bit. I mean, come on, we're trying to drive people to these shows, Ricky. We're trying to get them out there. You know what I mean?
Go.
And so given the fact that you've done all this performing, been in front of the camera, were there any nerves involved with this? I mean, it is just you up there bearing your soul up there with a microphone. Oftentimes I hear stand-up comedians will say it's the hardest thing to get up there and make people laugh. Public speaking is a big phobia of people. Obviously, you've been at this for a while, man, but was it hard, even those first couple of shows?
Still is. I get scared to death. Scared to death.
Yeah.
And me, because I feel like nobody's going to be here. Nobody's going to be here. Nobody's going to be here. Then I walk out there in the crowd, and as soon as I start talking, it stops. It's like I don't mean this as a cliche. It's like I'm having fun with my friends. It's like we're sitting at the bar, and I'm just telling stories, and it's really, really fun. And but yeah, I get nervous. I mean, I don't even have a show for a while, and I'm already nervous, you know.
Right. And of course, obviously, other than the Cathouse website, people can check you out on Instagram. You're on all the social medias that people want
Facebook.
You're up to. Okay, man. I wish you a lot of luck, man, with the upcoming shows, man. And really, this has been a real pleasure, man. And
thank you. I had fun.
Yeah, most of all, congratulations on maintaining that sobriety, man. I've been there. My wife has been there, man. So, we're both in recovery, man. You're never a former addict. You're always an addict, and it's a work in progress all the time, man. So, man, congrats, man. That above all.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
That above all is the most monumental thing right there.
Thanks, buddy. I appreciate it.
I appreciate it. Please stay in touch, man. I would love to do this again, man. Yeah.
Yes. I have fun.
I really appreciate it, man. Thanks. We'll talk again, my friend. And there he goes, folks. The legendary Riki Rachman. You know him from a lot of shit. I went down some of the itinerary, man. 90 to 95, he was your host of Headbangers Ball, getting the gig after Adam Curry. You've seen him between 93 and 96 on Loveline with Dr. Drew. He did a short stint doing backstage interviews at WCW. He's been involved in NASCAR. He's been involved in motorcycles. He had his own skateboard company for a while. Obviously, the legendary club, the Cathouse, out in California. And now he's got Cathouse HQ, working out of his headquarters down there in North Carolina. And most importantly, what I really want to emphasize, and I think Ricky want me to emphasize this too, once again, I'm going to reiterate, go to the website, check out when he's coming to a town near you, and get out there and hear from him these amazing stories, because the guy has really lived a life very much akin to a rock star. Worked alongside of rock stars, with rock stars, friendships with rock stars. So regardless of whether he plays an instrument or is in a proper band, he is every bit a rock star. Just being in that scene, being out in that Sunset Strip scene from the 80s, rubbing elbows with all those guys that came through the doors at Headbangers Ball in the 5-6 years that he was there. I also remember him, one of my guilty pleasures, I must confess that I probably should have told Ricky this. I was a big Rock of Love guy. If anybody remembers the couple of seasons where Brett Michaels of Poison had a reality show where it was him and a house full of beautiful women as he tried to find his Miss Right, which was a boatload of fun. And now that I'm thinking about it, I kind of wish they would do a show like that again. I mean, but anyway, long story short, they would have a reunion show after the season was over. And I believe those were hosted. Yeah, those were hosted by Ricky as well. And just great fun, man. It seems like he's just been involved in, as he said it, man, got paid to have a great time and do some incredibly gratifying, interesting, and fulfilling jobs while having a good time. And of course, I salute him the most on maintaining sobriety since 1988. And again, I don't want to knock how difficult it is for anybody to maintain sobriety, but take into account that all the things that I just said, all the aforementioned things, that Ricky was very heavily steeped in the 80s rock scene. He was out in that Sunset Strip area. He was a club owner. He was friends with many big rock stars. How difficult that is to be around all that excess and temptation, and nevertheless dig deep enough and have the resolve to find a way to get clean and sober, and God love him, maintain it for 38 years and counting, man. So that right there is probably the biggest, and probably I would sure he would say proudest accomplishment of his career. But I do want to remind people, again, before I let you go, check them out on social media. Get to the Cathouse website. Find out if Ricky is coming to a town near you, and get out to see these shows. I don't know if the tour is still going by the same name, but the last time he did it, it was One Foot in the Gutter. That was the tour. And it's just Ricky out there, as he said, telling stories, conveying memories, feelings, emotions, the roller coaster ride that he's been on all these years. The life he's lived, the experiences he's had. So really sounds like an amazing night. So if you're a fan of Ricky, if you're a fan of hearing about, well, I guess I'm 52 years old, what I would consider the heyday of rock music, maybe, this generation would disagree, but, Ricky gets it, man. We had it pretty damn good back in the day, man, before all this social media and AI, when fucking rock was fucking rock. And you'll hear stories about those amazing times, the decade of decadence, the 80s, the 90s, just all the things that he's been through. I think it sounds like it would be a very enjoyable night, a lot of fun, a lot of emotions, a lot of great stories. So get to the website, check out when Ricky is coming to a town near you, and check him out on social media. Buy his coffee, anything that he's out there doing. If you're a fan, be supportive. That's my caveat. I always say, if you're a fan, be a good fan. Get on mailing lists, sign up for newsletters, go to websites, buy merchandise, get out to shows, really be about it and support these artists that we love so much, man. That's what really being a fan is all about. And Ricky's got a lot of great products, a lot of great Cathouse merch. He's got Cathouse Coffee, and most importantly, he's got these spoken word shows that he will be out there doing. So get out to one if he's coming to a town near you. Now I'll do my own obligatory promotional spiel, my shameless plugging. I think I started it. I don't think I got all the way through it, but regardless of how far I was, and isn't it terrible that I chatted with Ricky for a little over 30 minutes? I don't remember if I did my own plug at the beginning. I think I got through some of it, but I'm going to pimp it again. The pimp pan, even after that conversation, still feeling strong. Here we go. Make sure to tap into PodScum on Facebook. Our handle is Off the Couch Boxing and PodScum. Same with our Instagram. Same handle, Off the Couch Boxing and PodScum. Do not be confused. 2 separate shows, and I will not have a separate social media account for those shows. People have tried, and I will not. It's too much time on social media. I need to live my life and, be present and in the moment. So thus, this is why I have one Facebook account and one Instagram account, and I promote both of my shows on those accounts. Thus, Off the Couch Boxing and PodScum. So that's our handle. Made it easy for you guys on Facebook and Instagram. And of course, if you're here right now watching me on YouTube, this is where you really need to be, because this is where you're going to get your meat and potatoes, these amazing conversations that we have. So make sure, if you're here, please like, subscribe, and smash that notification bell in the upper regions of your screen. That way you will be privy to when new content drops. And like I say, we bring it to you every single week. Sometimes it's an episode, sometimes it's multiple episodes, depending on how much content we have amassed, how productive of a week we've had. But you guys know my credo. If I got material, I ain't about to sit on it. I enjoy doing these interviews, and I enjoy even more rolling them out for you guys and unveiling them so you guys can enjoy them. At the end of the day, I'm a fan. I'm like a kid in a candy store. I can't contain myself. I love to get the shit out to you guys, man. So, but word to I want you guys to note, though, things might slow down a little bit. We are entering the holiday season. Might take a little bit of a hiatus. I'm not sure yet. Like to leave people alone, not badger people to do interviews. People want time with their families. But the good news is there are 350 plus episodes, back episodes of PodScum that you can dive into and check out. And I would invite you to do so. Some incredible conversations with some amazingly talented people. I respect each and every one of them so much. You can go back and check those out. And good news, if you're a pugilism fan and you're a fan of boxing, we got 300 episodes of Off the Couch Boxing you can sink your teeth into. So you can curl up by the fire or whatever the fuck you do during the holidays, and you can listen to a lot of PodScum and or Off the Couch Boxing. So we got you covered even if new episodes do slow down a bit, and they might. So just be forewarned. I'm doing the best I can, man, running down guests for you guys. Before I go, I do want to thank my viewers, my subscribers. Of course, goes without saying, my guests, without whom I would not be able to do this, man. So I'm always blown away by the support that the channel gets. We're growing every single day. I'm checking the analytics. The views are up. The subscribers are up. The support is up, man. The trajectory is always upwards. We're always trending upwards. So I thank all of you guys that have been super supportive, man. And specifically today, I want to thank the great RIKI RACHTMAN for coming on here. Such a great conversation, man. And look forward to having him on again. And I want you guys to remember, have a safe, happy holiday season. At the time of this recording, it is November 25th. This probably won't be out before Thanksgiving, man. But anyway, it's the holiday season. Everybody be safe out there, man. Be healthy, be happy, man. I wish all you guys abundant blessings. Everybody take care of yourselves, take care of your families, and enjoy yourselves, most importantly, man. This is your boy, Reckless Rex, reminding you, until we get together and do this thing again, please take it easy and keep it sleazy.